We're at the final stage now. This is just general level balancing. As I said before, it's a little bit difficult for me because I'm using headphones, but what I like to do is go through the whole track, and as elements come in you can generally tell whether they're too loud or not. I'm going to add some fades and stuff as well, so let's start off. Even with that beginning drone sound, let's get a nice fade on that, shall we? It's nice the way that bass comes in. That shaker's still too loud for me. I like the way it opens a little bit there though, that's nice. Nice little subtle detail. That's where I like my rides to be. Just so that you notice them if they're not there, but you don't really notice them hugely when they come straight in. They don't sort of hit you right in the face. They're nice and subtle. You just feel the energy of the track lift. Just trying to think if I need to even bring them in there and leave them till much later in the track. That's what I'm going to do here. Take down the drone. So it's just like a kind of texture rather than an actual part of the track. There we go. With that being said, I'm going to get rid of that fade that we did at the beginning so that it comes in straight away with that texture. There's a kind of dead bit in the track there, and when I find I have a dead bit in the arrangement, I generally quite ruthless, just delete time. Just make sure the cross-faded area is okay. Those levels are working nice for me. I think the clap's now a bit too loud. Now there's a few housekeeping things that I like to do at this stage, and that's zoom right in first of all. Whenever you have a kick that has an ending like that, yep, that's fine. Just to make sure that it doesn't clip off halfway through the waveform and produce a nasty click sound. That seems fine. Do that for the sub as well. If I isolate that. Yeah, that's not too bad. Otherwise, well, I'll just show you what I do if I do come across something like that. I just cut off that and put a very short, gentle fade, and you'll hear how it clears that ending up nicely. Even bigger fade there. Okay, do that again for the ending. It's just to avoid those nasty loud clips you sometimes get at the end of a bass sound. So that's all fine. And then something I like to do is to check with all the latency and the various plugins going on. I like to double check that nothing has kind of shifted around timing wise. So you'll see here, no, it's absolutely spot on. If anything, these hits are just a tiny bit early, but I also like to do that, make sure everything's in phase with each other, so everything is punchy. Now that's absolutely great. Usually I have to adjust things, but no, that's all good. There we go. So obviously there's a lot more work I could do on this track. I could start adding some more reverb effects, just sort of dark, subtle effects, nothing too crazy. I could certainly work on the clap, I think is the weakest part of the track. But I think all the basic elements are there. I could maybe, like I said earlier, do a more dramatic breakdown, but I think it's fine as is, really. What I would finally do, I do have an analog heat. I would probably run out the drum bus to the analog heat to get a bit of an enhancement effect or a clean boost sound using that, and then record it back in here. But what I like to do before the mastering stage is just use some very gentle mastering on the final master bus here using the Shadow Hills compressor. I wonder if we've got enough DSP. I think we have. So that's going to take a little bit of time to load. It's probably rearranging some stuff. I have to be careful because there's a plug-in on my voice and that disappeared and I had to re-record a whole chapter. No, but it seems fine. Nothing's been disabled. So what I do now is run through what we have here. And I choose this setting. Which is mastering loud. Now, even though it says mastering loud, I use this at very subtle settings. You see here it's in dual mono at the moment, but just flip that to stereo. Put both of these meters to optical, and I just want the optical part to move no more than a dB. That's fine. Okay, then I move up to the discrete part, and again I just want the discrete to remove about a dB. So let's take the threshold up until, there we go. Then we go to our output. That's quite nice. I don't think we really need to change that. And then I use a nice high quality gentle EQ. And again, I hope I have enough DSP for this. It's the curve bender. Oh dear. Okay, let's not do that for now anyway. What I usually do is just brighten it up. I've probably got an equally decent plug-in natively, so let's choose. There's really nice emulation of the Massive Passive by Native Instruments here. I just like to brighten things up a little bit. People tend to like bright things. Obviously this is done properly at the mastering stage, but it's nice to just shape it a little bit to your sound. See, I've just done it very gently there. A lot goes a little way as far as this EQ goes. Maybe I dip it in that typically muddy area of 270. So flip that to cut. There we go. The low end I'm totally fine with. Now there is an absolute beast that I like to add. Giving away one of my secret weapons here, but anyway, go to Plugin Alliance and this Vertigo. What I think I'm going to do is just tell you that I use it, but I'm going to keep my setting a trade secret if you don't mind. But basically, yeah, I put it in mid-side mode. I then treat the high and the low separately. Take away all the drives, but basically you can hear what it does to the top end. It's beautiful. And the bottom end is just a beast, but I'm gonna leave my setting a secret if you don't mind. So all that's left is to basically check the final levels. You see we've got plenty of headroom here. Got loads of headroom. That's probably enough for a mastering engineer. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been a lot of fun. I hope I've dispelled a few myths about these types of tracks. As you can see, it might have looked relatively easy, but I had a bit of luck along the way, choosing some presets that absolutely fitted in. But you can see it's, you know, you have to choose each part very carefully when they're so exposed. You don't have many elements. If I do my more melodic techno productions, you know, I'll have up to 20 plus parts, and it gets really complex. But you know, with this, there's no hiding place for some of these sounds, and I would probably work harder. The clap is very exposed, so I would probably replace that and work harder with a big reverb, like a thunder type reverb on it maybe, and some delays. But the basic of the track that I've put together in you know, several hours over the past day or two, I'm pretty pleased with. So I hope you get some inspiration from this. I hope you get some tips. You probably might be baffled as to some of my working methods, but it's always good to see how somebody else works. I'm completely self-taught, so you know, that might give you some inspiration too, to come up with your own ideas. But it's been great fun. So this is Kirk Degiorgio for Sonic Academy, and I hope to see you soon.
If you like this course, why not head over to sonicacademy.com, where we have hundreds of complete track builds in every genre imaginable, including all the project files and samples. You'll also find tutorials on plugins and synths, mixing and mastering, over 250 tech tips, artist interviews, along with our award-winning plugins, samples and preset packs.